All right, we're back. I'm going to do this intro because Richard Zane just tried one, and it was so bad that even Nick Savage was booing from the back.
Booing Nick like with Texas the new fans to Arch Manning.
Nick with the new haircut where he looks like one of the cast members of the movie Stripes from
Platoon.
Yeah. But here we have Richard Zane in for David Nuno. Nuno with a little birthday dinner with his parents tonight and a long travel day. So we did a little something last night, kind of expecting that we were going to run short on time on Sunday, but between just kind of right after the game, there was some weird karaoke going on in the parking lot. I was walking through the parking lot at like 12:45 at night to go to what was left, the remnants of, it was a weird deal. Walked through, first there were a bunch of Notre Dame fans singing, just blaring. The only people left in the parking lot, there was one truck and then a group of students, guys and girls, and they were both singing to a blaring of Adele, Someone Like You. Never mind, I'll find someone like you. That one. And just sad music in their misery after the game. And it was nice to see that from an opposing fan base on a road trip and not our own for once. That group was singing. They asked me to join in. I hit them with, the chorus as they were all singing, and some drunk girl decided to try to rip my press credential off my wrist and said, "What are you, a coach?" Then I'm continuing to walk through the campus. There's like two Luke Evangelist looking dudes, shirtless.
No shoulders or what?
Sitting
Mustache
there.
And all?
Well, they're just sitting there just drunk on
haircuts.
Are you done?
I'm done now.
They're drunk, sitting there on campus, like crying about the game, just the two of them, in like on some campus, like, it wasn't a library, but a building, just sitting there. Then I get to like the bar district, there's some guy, and this is not a joke, but I'm being serious, laid out on the street in a pool of blood. He had fallen off a curb, hit his head, and been, looked like he'd been drinking. So he was getting tended to. It was a weird post-game scene, man.
Adele to the Evangelists to dude on the side of the street.
Weird. It was the weirdest post-game walk I've had, but it was just the whole night was interesting to leave the stadium. It's almost 1 a.m.
I want to go, I want to talk about your entire trip, because you had 4 days of just insane sports.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, you go and hang out with the Barstool people. Was that Thursday?
That was cool.
And then
what
you
a facility.
Go to Wrigley Field, wore him on the organ and all.
Yeah.
And then you finally see some dubious streaks get broken in one of the most historic venues in all of college football. And then you decided not to go see Dan Campbell.
Yeah, well, that wasn't just me. That would have been like affecting like 8 or 9 people's day before we came back. Yeah, that is true. But Wrigley's always great. It was beautiful weather, ton of Aggies. It was fun day. Barstool, really cool. Like I enjoyed getting to see all of that, meet a lot of those people. I take in their content like most of y'all do daily. So, saw some people I know and friends, including Casey Smith, and we had, finally met my man Brandon Walker, who we've had on banter for years with. I guess they were talking about it on the Yak when I walked up trying to guess my name. All they knew is it started with a B, so that was a whole. But it was fun. And Barstool, by the way, what an operation they've got. So that was really cool to see, just all the different studios in that building, and just kind of the way. I mean, TexAgs is going to be in for a rude awakening this week, because I was just seeing how hard everybody there was working at all times. Maybe. It actually kind of seemed a lot like TexAgs, if we're being honest. Laid back, but man, do they just crank out content all day, every day. It was really impressive to see. Just people filming, come out, talk, recording, people walking around doing social media stuff and blogs and vlogs, whatever you call them. The whole operation was badass. It's crazy to me that they've got that in New York and Chicago. But Cubs game was great. Here's what was cool. All this buildup, right? All of this buildup to Saturday's game, right? You go to South Bend, Touchdown Jesus, the Grotto, the Golden Dome, the church on campus, and it was the most beautiful campus I've been on.
It really is.
The tree, you've been there, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't get to go this time, but it's
the trees, there was even still a little color, even though we're not really to fall yet.
And the weather, perfect compared to here.
Weather was great. Everybody was worried about rain. I guess that passed through earlier, but and you just see Aggies everywhere. Like, I saw more people. I saw old roommates. I saw old friends. I saw old girlfriend or two. Like, it was crazy the amount of people you saw that so many Aggies went to that game. We were talking on the flight back, like, what do you put it at? And somebody said like 25%, and my buddy was like, I would definitely take the over on that. Wow. I mean, not to say it wasn't 50-50, but it was enough that it had a bowl feel to it. So all of that stuff, right? And we do this so many times, and then you come home a loser. You come home and you lost again. And you come home and you wonder, what if? And you come home and you go, what if they wouldn't have gotten all those false start penalties? What if that kickoff return didn't get called back? What if they didn't get a punt blocked at the beginning? What if, it's like A&M, what if they converted that 4th and 11 goal? What if it would be like A&M though, what if we didn't have that muff snap on the extra point? That's always where A&M's at. I'm sitting there watching that last play, and I'm thinking about, I was in the exact same front corner of the end zone where I was at Bama. 22 with Haynes King and that 12. One play to win it. Oh. One play to win it or lose it, and that was over before it started, that quick throw. So I'm sitting there going, man, I'm about to watch either a mob scene of Notre Dame in this corner right in front of their students, in that end zone where everybody's going nuts, or I'm going to see an A&M score that silences this place. Instead, what I saw was not only did I see an A&M score, and I got to see the right team celebrate in a road venue like that for once, but on top of that, it wasn't silenced because the 12th man was so freaking loud. It was.
You heard them. We heard them on TV. It was crazy.
It was awesome. So I'm just so glad that all those people that go up there, they spend all that money and they want that experience and they get a win like that. I'm even more happy for Elko and his staff, for Marcel and those players. I mean, God, it's such a swing on one play. And that happens every sport, you never know when. But to have a final play, essentially, I know it wasn't the last play of the game. There were a couple more snaps. But the final play where it came down to one play in such a big game, in such a game that was so many ebbs and flows and momentum. A&M's up a field goal at halftime. Walking around that stadium, you thought Notre Dame was down 50. And then they just come right out and take the lead back. It was up and down, up and down. And
all the way back to the start. Like, I don't think you could be any lower.
Yeah. I mean, it felt like you were going, gosh, I really hope they don't just blow the doors off of you here.
Here we go again.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't feel that way because I liked even that first drive by A&M, I liked how open guys were. I liked Le'Veon Moss ripping off a big run on the first play of the game. I felt like the offense was going to click. I didn't think they were going to score 40. And they needed all 41 of them to win. But in a game that a lot of us thought would be a ground and pound, much like last year's game, it was the passing game for both teams that really stood out. Honestly, the stats are really similar in terms of the running game. But, man, just to win a game like that, if you lose that game, it's 5 straight to Power 4 teams. And that's going to be the talking point. And people are going to be going, same old A&M. But instead, you score one more point than they do. You make one more play than they do. And people around the country, not just here in Aggieland, are probably going to vault A&M in the other direction, like maybe even more so than they should. But I don't care because it's what we've all been waiting for. We want Marcel to get his due. We want people to recognize the Aggies as a player and a contender. I think this lasts more than one game. I think it's got staying power because I think the Aggies have so much firepower on offense. They have so many playmakers that I think even if they have to win games like this, they can. But the difference now you've got a quarterback that's knocked off 2 top 10 teams. Now you got people that start to see Marcel Reed and they think LSU Marcel and they think Notre Dame Marcel. They don't think 8-4 quarterback. This is the guy that quarterbacks that team that goes 8-4 every year. They're thinking about what he showed last night on the field. They go back to LSU in that game. What they don't factor in, Zane, is in 3 of his last 4 starts against Power 4 teams,
Auburn, USC,
and Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
He has led what should have been 3 game-winning not field goal drives, 3 game-winning touchdown drives. They haven't caught on to that quite yet, but they saw that last night. How cool and calm he is, what a playmaker he is. He missed some throws that could have made those stats. He could have had a 500.
The one that would have been 98 yards.
Yeah, and then another one in Niblack where I think Amari was a little slow coming out of his break and then was like, there. But, I mean, that was those were 2 overthrows on big balls. Early in the game, he kind of underthrew KC, but KC adjusted and could have caught that one for a bit. There were some big hitters that he missed, but he also made some spectacular throws among his 17 completions. And I mean, I don't know what it looked like on TV, but I'm watching it from the sideline. But then for a couple drives,
tight windows and like KC's athleticism is insane. Like going up and grabbing stuff where
he reminds me a little of your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Like
honestly,
that. I like
you know what I mean? Like the build, the way he goes up and gets it. Man, I don't think we can talk about those receivers enough. I mean, Mario Craver had a Heisman type of game. He's off to a Heisman Trophy type start.
He leads the nation in receiving right now.
And just that game last night against, this Notre Dame defense is not like last year's. And you talk to anybody in South Bend and they'll tell you that. They're still one of the better defenses A&M will play this year. And he just absolutely ate them alive and was spectacular in doing so. That touchdown in the first quarter was like, I felt like that changed the whole game.
Hitting the B button.
It just, it changed the entire feel in that stadium of the game. It was like, hey guys, this is a 12-round fight. So you hit us at the beginning. This is a 12-round fight. So settle in and be ready for it. And I think it kind of woke the whole stadium up to that fact. Those 2 dudes, some of the catches they make, spectacular. They're just, between those 2 and Le'Veon Moss, they're just tougher than you. They want to fight more than you. They want to fight for the football, fight for extra yards. They hate being tackled. You saw Le'Veon just truck the guy into the end zone. He had 3 touchdowns. I just, though, you know how they say defense travels? I agree. Defense travels, but like what Texas A&M's doing in terms of skill position talent travels too. And it's, by the way, it's what wins in the SEC and in college football now. And there were 2 things I said this week, Zane. And by the way, for all you people, I was going to say something mean here, but I didn't, that love to listen and linger and lurk. I've been telling you about these 2 receivers since they signed them. I've been telling you about Le'Veon Moss being healthy and people hand-wringing for nothing. I've been telling you about an improved passer in Marcel Reed. And he's got what now? 11 total TDs and 1 turnover?
10 and 1.
I think it's 11 if you count rushing, maybe. Or is it 10? It's probably 10. Yeah, I think it's 10.
He's got 9 passing and 1 rushing and the 1 pick.
10 to 1. Averaging what? I think well over probably like 330 yards of offense per game. And that's with basically 3/4 of work in the first 2. Guy had 400 yards yesterday, 2 touchdowns, a pick, and a game winner. I mean, 397 total offense. On the road in South Bend, in a historic stadium on national TV in a wild shootout. So one of the better QB performances I've ever seen from an Aggie when you factor in opponent, stakes, profile of the game, and how it went, how it ended. Literally a damn near a walk-off. So that play is a top 5 for me. That touchdown might be my 3rd favorite play in A&M history to watch. I wrote this. You haven't put it out yet because I just sent it to you. But third favorite play to watch.
I think people are going to read it before they see this.
Okay. So I said Sir Parker to win the Big 12 title and walk off double overtime. DeShazer Everett's pick at the goal line to clinch, the biggest upset win in A&M history, and then last night.
Is your list, it obviously has to do with
it's 25
time,
years,
score, momentum, stakes, all of that.
Yeah.
Those are 2 plays, and this is a 3rd one. They're all 3 at the end of the games. And, the highlight that we always see, it's essentially the quintessential A&M highlights, the Johnny play to himself.
Yeah,
Is that
no.
not on that list?
No, it's not, Richard. Thank you. And thank you for letting me clarify that, because that I'm talking about my personal favorite plays in terms of what I think were the greatest plays. And just an interception to end when Bama's on the goal line and they're the defending national champs and you're a 15-point underdog. And yeah, I mean, what I'll never forget is how Johnny played in that football game. But that play, because I would think about the throw to Malcolm Kennedy, I would think about the throw to Swope, but that play was as dramatic as it gets.
Yeah.
And I'm saying everyone in the country watching it, and this guy steps in front of a ball at the goal line to preserve the upset.
I remember it well.
And then I'll say, the Big 12 title game, I mean, it's your last championship since 98. And
I don't remember that.
And Kansas State was set. They were a 15-point lead with 8 minutes to go to play for the national title. Bill Snyder and little old Kansas State were going to play for the whole thing. So, yeah, it's 3rd on my list, which is incredible in 25 years. And I think about, I factor the whole thing in. Where is it during the season? Because that could be a play that gets you into the playoffs. We don't know that, but it could. That's why it seems bigger now, and it might end up being even bigger than it seems.
You mentioned the DeShazer Everett play. I remember sitting in the living room of my parents' house. I was in high school, growing up in Aggie, and that being the first year in the SEC, and all of your friends in high school was like, "Oh, A&M's going to get murdered." I'm sure you guys heard that a ton. In
that's how you guys were talking at Flower Mound?
Yeah, that's how people.
Wow.
You guys are going to lose in the SEC. They're going to just destroy you, yada yada yada, and then you get to go and put everybody on notice. And I was I had just gotten my learner's permit, and after that game, my dad and I we drove and picked up dinner because it was the 2:30 start, just blaring the war hymn, windows down, through the streets of Flower Mound. That kind of elation and euphoria was matched in the lobby of your office with the 4 of us that were gathered here to watch while working. It was pretty incredible. Nick Savage, I'm sure, could tell you, we gave everybody a lot of hugs and high fives and stuff. It was pretty
fun night. And we're going to break it down tomorrow, but just the simple parts to me were you had to slow down their running game, and you did. And Jeremiah Love is an amazing player.
So good.
But if you really, and I rewatched it, it's They held him in check. They had a couple stops on short yardage that you never would have thought they'd make, based on the first couple games. And they held him in check. He had 94 yards rushing on 23 carries. I know he had the long touchdown catch. That was his biggest play. But for a great running back, to hold him to 4 yards a carry on 23 carries it's really good. That's outstanding. I mean, I don't say outstanding. They did a really good job of keeping him from taking over the game, which is what a lot of people thought might happen. Not just some people on the A&M side even, but around the country. And I think they contained him. And then what else they did was they matched Notre Dame's rushing. Last year A&M could get nothing going on the ground. And I mean, last night they average about the same.
So Notre Dame
per carry. I think A&M averaged more.
Notre Dame averaged 3.5 per carry, and that's factoring in the 15 yards lost by C.J. Carr. A&M on the ground, they averaged 4 even.
Yeah. So I mean, if you really look at the output, it was about the same. I think total rushing yards was like 136 to 129. Le'Veon Moss was 20 carries for 81 yards without a single lost yard and
That's
3
what's
touchdowns.
Wild to me. They only had 2 negative
Notre Dame
plays.
had 2 tackles for loss.
Sacks.
And no sacks. And the Aggies had, by the way, 8 tackles for loss and 2 sacks. So it wasn't all bad for a defense that gave up 40. I'm pretty concerned with, Scooby Williams is a total bust, not picking up Love coming out of the backfield there. I think Will Lee continues to have some rough moments. He had a nice pass breakup in the end zone to force a field goal. And the defense forced 2 field goals when they desperately needed them. They got a key pick. Like you said, the TFLs, it's 2 sacks. They had 2 fourth down stops. One was a miscue by Notre Dame. The other one was a sensational effort play by a couple of defenders there. So
Cassius Howell almost got his hands on a pick.
Oh, that was right in front of me. That was going to be an amazing play.
Marcus Ratcliffe, I believe, led the team in tackles, and then
I thought Dalton Brooks played well. Like he started slow on a play or two on the first drive.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but I thought Des Ricks played really well, and I thought that the personal foul they got him was extremely ticky-tacky.
Well, if you're going to call that one, then there was one later in the game on that same sideline that Notre Dame committed that they should have called. But I thought the refs were like in early season form. They screwed up a lot. And look, there were a couple of holds that A&M got away with down there on that final drive that I am not apologizing for because I've seen Texas A&M not get holding calls for an entire year. So I don't give a shit. I just don't. I don't give a damn.
I also watched A&M's first drive get derailed because of the worst holding call I've ever seen.
And they had a kickoff return wiped off for a hold, which was a hold, but the thing that sucked about that one, it was a hold, and I don't know that it was why he scored. Yeah, but anywho, I thought that was key. The defense has got to get better. There were some real busts. Like, it was just too easy on the back end with some of these passes for C.J. Carr. And it makes me wonder, it doesn't make me wonder. I know they have to be better because they're going to be playing better quarterbacks. They're going to be playing, even though Faison and Greathouse and those guys are pretty good, they're going to be playing better receiving corps, starting with Auburn in their next game. So
Coleman and company.
Yeah, so they've got to get better. There's no question. But I think I thought they were a lot better against the run than in those first 2 games. And that's what I was hoping to see. I wasn't sure we'd see it, to be honest. I was hoping we'd see that, and they did. I really liked what Hicks and Regis and Onyetum did on the inside. I thought the Aggies matched Notre Dame's physicality. And when I say that is a massive ass offensive line for Notre Dame. They are enormous. Their DBs come downhill and hit. Their linebackers come downhill and hit. Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. I think they call him Jadari Price on the
They were pronouncing
stadium.
it
Jadari Price. Yeah. They were saying Jadari. Anywho, those guys, those guys get behind their pads and run downhill and run at you like they're the aggressors. So last year, the Aggies lost the physical battle. And I said this week, I thought they had an advantage at quarterback in Marcel Reed over Carr that they didn't have last year. And now new Connor Wigman looks like old Connor Wigman, and that's great. But he got outplayed last year by Riley Leonard, who didn't make a damn mistake. And I thought going in, they didn't have Riley Leonard. They had C.J. Carr, and A&M had, I think, quietly a very confident young quarterback in Marcel Reed. And I also thought with those weapons he had, and I said this repeatedly, A&M had playmakers that they didn't have last year. So they would be the ones turning in the big offensive plays, whereas last year it was Notre Dame. And that's exactly what happened. Now, Notre Dame had their share too. It was a completely different type of game. But the result, because of Reed and because of Craver and Concepcion and company and Moss, the Aggies, and an improved O-line, by the way, the Aggies went from 1 touchdown against Notre Dame to 41 points. And that O-line, if they can eliminate the damn pre-snap penalties, they'd have had a terrific night last night. Again, no sacks. 500 was how many total yards? Was it 500? It was around there.
I'm going to pull up the comparison real quick.
So almost
488 total yards.
Okay, so almost 500 yards, not a sack allowed, 2 TFLs allowed in however many snaps, 41 points, game-winning scoring drive. Like, that was that the O-line, the false start penalties were ridiculous. And, they gave up a block punt. They had a kick return wiped out. They gave up a long punt return. There were a penalty on a punt on multiple, so they missed a field goal right before halftime. Now I'll say this, Randy Bond was nails, dude. Like, he missed that one. So you put a miss in your head, and then you have to come out in the third quarter late and kick a game-tying field goal from 43, drill it. You have to come in again in the fourth quarter with 9 minutes left, kick a 45-yarder on the road, down 3, drilled it. Not that it's a big deal, usually, but you have to come in and kick an extra point to win the game.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure, drilled it. And that whole operation, the snap, Jacob Graham with pressure snaps, Randy Bond with pressure kicks. You got pressure holds there.
Tyler White.
And by the way, as I say that, don't roll your eyes, because the reason A&M won last night was because Notre Dame couldn't execute that when everybody wasn't even paying attention when they went up 6. And the next thing you know, that ball's flopping around all over the place. Like Luke Evangelist at Songfest.
Oh, terrible visual.
It's like dancing around, flopping. So,
like a fish out of water.
Anywho, what a win. And here's the thing, Zane. The difference, had A&M won this game last year, they're a one-play tackle against Peyton Thorne away from being in the playoff. You just don't know what it means, but you know it means a lot. And it depends how they build on it. But the good thing is they've got an opportunity to build on it that's really, I think it's a tremendous opportunity now. And it sets up bye week. Auburn has to go to Oklahoma. Physical, emotional game. You get Mississippi State at your house. They had a big win last week. I think that's a week or so after they have to play Tennessee. Then you have Florida coming in here that's going to be, I think, unless Texas flubs that one in Gainesville, should be a Florida team coming in after like 4 straight losses, and who knows if Napier's even coming with him.
Mississippi State does host Tennessee the week before the.
Yeah. So you're sitting at home for 3 games to start SEC play, and you've got to win over the Fighting Irish in your belt. You're number 10 in the AP poll. Are you 10 in the coaches poll as well?
Both the coaches and the AP.
You're back in the top 10. And you look around this league, Richard, and you look at the A&M schedule and you go, where's Florida at versus where you thought? Where's Texas at versus where you thought? And by the way, it's funny. They've lost one game to the number one ranked team, and their fans have all turned on Arch. Let me just say something again. I said Quinn Ewers was really good, but he was overhyped as a top 5 draft pick and a Heisman, or first round draft pick and a Heisman finalist. And you guys went crazy about it. I said that Arch Manning was being hyped up too much too soon, and that he was going to go through some growing pains as a first-year starter. And I also said there was a reason they weren't letting him operate inside the red zone last year when they were struggling so much to do it, and you guys went crazy about it. I said I thought you would struggle to replace 4 starters on the O-line, a 5-star quarterback in Quinn Ewers, the best tight end in the country in Gunnar Helm, and those receiving weapons. And you guys went crazy about it. I don't even think your team's, done for like you do. But I'm just reminding you that what I said was right. And I actually think they're one of the teams that can improve versus, and be a really good team by the end of the year and maybe soon versus Florida. Who are some of the other? I think Auburn looks about like a thought.
I think Mizzou looks a little bit better.
Mizzou looks a lot better.
They're averaging over 50 points per game.
The best team they've played is Kansas.
Yes. But
they look a lot better.
They are down one quarterback already.
Yeah, they look a lot better, though. LSU looks about the same. I think people are still now. I'm hearing how they have the best defense in the country, and I'm going, what did Florida's offense do against South Florida? What has Clemson's offense done all year? Right now, I'm saying don't buy LSU just yet because their offense sucks. Their offense is not good right now.
Well, it's interesting that you
and their fans know it. They're not Joe Sloan people there in the Bayou.
The reporters in Baton Rouge seem to know it too, but Brian Kelly took exception to that in the press conference.
Yeah.
What did you think of that?
Well, I think Brian Kelly, when you go off, I thought the guy was being a little antagonistic with the questions, and I understand, but you can just make a comment like, come on, man, we just won a game against an SEC rival where we allowed 1 touchdown, we intercepted 5. He got way too defensive, way too quickly, and then turned it into kind of an attack on the media, which that dude's as unlikable as they come when it comes to college coaches. So nothing he says would surprise me. My point of all this, though, and you saw South Carolina. Yeah. And here's the deal, Richard.
No Lenore
and
Sellers.
I don't think they win that game with Lenore Sellers. Vandy was out there to whip that ass, and that's exactly what they did.
You got Diego Pavia throwing big-time blocks.
Diego Pavia is, I said he's going to, and this is, look, what I say, he's going to upset somebody this year. He's already got one. He's going to do it again. Austin, Longhorns better watch out for Pavia and Vandy going in there.
November 1st, 11 a.m.
If they were playing next weekend, you really better watch out. So with all that said, this league is wide open. Texas A&M does not play Georgia. They don't play Alabama. They don't play Tennessee. They don't play Ole Miss. So you want to talk about opportunity for the Aggies. And you had an opportunity present itself last night. And instead of wasting or floundering that opportunity, they went out and seized it and took it and came home winners. And as we sit here today, there's going to be a lot of talk about Marcel, Craver, Concepcion, the win in South Bend, and your top 10 Aggies. And they get a week. I like the week off because the last time they won a game like this, they went out on the road and laid an egg against a team that did have a week off and was rested and healthy. So now A&M wins that game. They get some time to kind of let to kind of decompress and then get back to it and know that you're the team playing at home, probably at night, right?
Against Auburn?
Yeah,
It's
it's
in an afternoon window. The official time slot will be announced on Monday.
Okay, you're the team that's getting to sit at home off of a bye week, like Notre Dame did, and that was another thing the Aggies overcame. And then you get to sit there and let them come to you. So I like the setup of it all, and damn, it feels good to win a game like that versus losing it. And I saw so many happy Aggies on the trip home, just around town that night, walking through that campus.
After your weird experience.
Yeah, and I'm just telling you, man, like, we've all done that trip so many times with the same result, whether it's Clemson, whether it's UCLA Rose Bowl, whether it's
Georgia.
No, I'm talking about like all the trips in conference too, but I'm talking about non-conference, these big build-up games. And it's just, you go to them and it's all this off-season of build-up and excitement, and then it's taken away. And I just think had A&M lost that game and not made that play, you remember last year, like, nobody really got all the way back in excited about this team until they beat LSU. That was game 8. All they did prior to LSU was win 6 in a row after Notre Dame. And people just weren't. So I think it's going to be absolutely electric around here when they go into conference play, and they've set themselves up with a real chance. And that's the most, whatever the most you could have gotten out of a road trip to South Bend, Indiana in week 3 of a college football season was, A&M did that. So they're going to get a lot of credit the next few days and this week, and they should, because they didn't get very much credit at all during the offseason, quarterback and team. So I think they deserve the praise. Now they got to get back to work because they're far from a finished product. And right now they're good enough to beat anybody they play. But they also, there's not, as you saw last night, it's not like there's a big margin for error.
Well, plenty more discussion this week. TexAgs Live tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. with David Nuno. Thank you for tuning into this edition of the Loochador Podcast, and our thanks again to the sponsor, Academy.
Sports and outdoors.
The right stuff, the low price, every day.
Academy.